Back at Snappy Tomato Pizza, I've got to give Frank a thumbs up for the decorative styles here on OVC Digital Network. You can see the mums that are behind us. Good job there, Frank. As he has removed the tomato plants from out front. Coach Jason Simpson joins us. Coach, a tough loss against Eastern Kentucky Saturday, 49-24.
Yeah, it was. A disappointing first conference game against obviously a quality opponent. I think a lot of that program, you look at their rich tradition over the years, 30-something, 31, 32 straight winning seasons. And Dean Hood just does an outstanding job. I think the world of him as a person and as a coach, and you know when you match up with him every week, you're going to face a well-coached football team, and that held true once again. You obviously first half you're competing offensively, you're scoring some points, some missed opportunities, a turnover. Missed field goal, didn't convert on a 4th and 1, but you're still in the game, 24-28. Obviously didn't play very well first half defensively. Then that carried over to the second half. And then offensively you sputtered and kind of shot yourself in the foot with the penalty. Would have got you to a second 6 in the red zone, and you get yourself backed up. I think that's when they missed the field goal as well. And then you just couldn't maintain serve. And, and it's a little bit different scenario when you get down, 14, 18 points. You get some different coverages, some different looks. But, it was a team loss. Every coach, every player contributed, and we didn't get it done.
I want to go back and talk about Coach Hood for a moment, and you have given him respect on the air. We had a segment on our pregame show Saturday and how much respect he has for you in this program. And as we've talked about, for many years when UT Martin took on Eastern Kentucky, it didn't look good. In the last 4 years, we've won 2 of those 4 games. Those games have been close. He called you in the OVC teleconference. I don't know if you heard this or not. He called you the best coach in the Ohio Valley Conference and said that we were the best team that still gets the least amount of respect, and he doesn't understand why that is.
Well, and he mentioned something to me like that before the game, and I certainly appreciated that. You don't feel like that right now, being 0-1 in the conference and 1-3 overall, but we take a lot of pride in that, trying to, do the most with the least, and chip on our shoulder. That's kind of been our battle cry, and bottom line is that can only be your battle cry when you're getting over the hump and you're winning, and you're winning games. And so we're close, we're not far off, you got to make your own breaks to make those things happen. But I appreciate Dean's comments.
As you kind of went through the game, and we'll quickly run through it. In the first quarter, Eastern goes up 14-7 to take the lead, even though you had the first touchdown score, as you said, as Jared took it into the end zone. And I thought defensively and offensively, we started off strong.
Well, we did. You get the ball and you go 70-something yards, and you go for it on 4th and 1. Normally,
and you had said in the pregame, we're not going to have a lot of long drives, probably.
Yeah.
No,
right.
You did. You did just exactly what you thought would be difficult to do against their defense.
I don't know if it's been since 2006 or 7 since we've had, 2008 since we've had over 450 yards against them.
Yeah.
I don't think we had 484 on the day, but not getting enough points. But we took the ball down. We sputtered there 4th and 1. We go for it. Didn't get it. Didn't get the backside backer blocked, and they take over on downs, which is. It doesn't count as a turnover, but it is. Mm-hmm. It doesn't count on the stat sheet, but it is. You came away with not a successful kick. So then, I think we get a stop, and then we get it, and we go back, and we score. So now we're up 7-0, and, we put 2 back-to-back drives together.
They jump out and score 14 on you to lead 14-7. They have 14 more on you in the second quarter, but you bounce back to make it 28-24. I felt good about where we were going into the locker room, even though we were trailing by 4.
Yeah, well, you're right. It was, from a morale standpoint, it can be tough, and it's a team sport. And when you give up those long touchdown runs, the long run and the long pass, and those things can be prevented. And obviously we're not, our eyes aren't where they're supposed to be. We're not playing correct technique. We're getting out of our gap. I mean, just mistakes that cause people to score against you. That's what we're doing right now. But I was proud of the team. I didn't sense any panic. I thought offense and defense held it together. The defense believed, hey, we just gave up one. Let's go back and score another one. Get us another chance to get a stop. I liked and that will help us in the future. It will. We'll learn from that experience and draw from it. And then you get a score back, and then you get it right before half. If you take it down and you get another score. So, you're down 24-28, but you say, okay, let's it's a one-score game, and we got 30 minutes of football left to play.
And I was going back, when you said we couldn't score on the fourth down attempt on the goal line, and we didn't, I thought, wow, this could be the play of the game. Well, no, there were a lot of plays that happened in that game. Yeah. John Abel referred to it as almost like a boxing match. You called it, going into the locker room, it was almost like a cartoon because there was a lot of stuff that happened in that first half.
Right. And what I mean by that is I really from the big play standpoint of them. I mean, you think you got a guy stopped, and all of a sudden we get our head out of gap, and the running back did a great job, and all of a sudden he comes out for a 70-something yard run, and then the big pass play, and it's almost like we had stopped playing, which we hadn't. We wasn't where we were supposed to be, and had outside leverage, and he hit the little skinny post on us, and the guy runs from one side of the field to the other, and he's an outstanding player as well. But yeah, it seemed like it was scripted or something out of a wrestling match.
It did, because, and I have never seen, I guess, the time of possession so lopsided in a game, and it was because of in the first half, and it was because of their big plays.
They're scoring too fast, all right? And then it's a different style of defense to where, I don't know what our average scoring opportunities were, but I'm sure it was probably, 4 to 8 minutes, somewhere in there. So you have some clock because, they do a nice job in secondary, rallying and tackling. Even when you get to that second level and third level, there's other pursuit coming, and guys are tackling you. So they do a great job with their style of defense. In the past, I hate to say bend but don't break with their defense because they are statistically so good, but it's still a 6-man box, and then they bring the 7th hat in there. So believe it or not, I'm still encouraged about how we were able to block them. I mean, we still rushed for 190-something yards, even though, and that's, 200-something, and then sacks, reduced that. So that was encouraging. I thought our offensive line and spots did some really good things to be able to, it's been a while since we've ripped off against quality teams, 25, 35-yard runs.
If you were to summarize it, it reminded me as like the Kentucky game, in that the two things that really hurt us was their big plays and our turnovers.
Yeah,
because they scored 21 points off turnovers.
Yeah,
I think.
And that's kind of a deal to where the first, Jared gets credited for an interception. Well, guess what? We're throwing a throwback screen to the tight end. He bobbles it up right into the hands of the defender. That Jared gets blamed, or gets blamed for an interception, but we've got
on paper, if you saw it, you can't blame him.
Exactly, we've got to catch that ball, bat it down, move on to the next play. We tip it up, to the defender, and that's one. And then no excuse for a boo on the fumble there. We toss it to him. It's a 6-yard gain, and he puts the ball on the ground, and that's inexcusable. And then the last one when Dylan's in, I mean, you never excuse a turnover. You're down by whatever it is, 18 or so, and you're trying to scramble back, and he's trying to make a play. Not that they're okay, but he was trying to force the ball in a tight window. Their linebacker made a great play. But you know what? Turnovers are going to happen. We have opportunities to get turnovers, and we didn't do it. We're not doing it. Okay, I mean, we get just as much as we have a chance to score and not make turnovers. Our defense has the same opportunity to get a turnover or get stops, and we're not doing that. And so, it's a team game, like I said, but we've got to get better defensively. I mean, I know that. Coach Bird knows that. Our defensive staff, we've got to get better.
It's interesting to me, and you've had teams like this. I think the 06 team was like this, that have a knack for getting turnovers.
Well, yeah, I was asked that. What do you coach different? I mean, there's, 2012 we're plus 11 or plus 12, in turnovers, and we're the same coordinator, but different players. You're right. Some kids have a knack of getting the ball out, of making those plays, and so we've got to learn to do that. If we're going to beat good teams, we're certainly going to have to do that. And then the other way to when the years that you're not getting the ball out is to have offensive players that take care of the ball as well. One of the things you look and see is that we're completing 71% of our passes. So we feel very comfortable that we have a very good spacing passing game. I mean, I'm not going to say we don't throw the ball down the field, but you don't see us throw it, and we actually should throw the ball down the field more. We throw a lot of balls in the flat, a lot of balls to the backs, a lot of short passes, a lot of screens, right? So you should be completing 70% of your passes, in our opinion. But the interceptions should be should not be as high as they are right now.
Right.
All right. And then you put 7 fumbles on top of that. I mean, now it'll be almost impossible to get back to even because of what we did against Kentucky.
Right.
With 6 or 7 there, unless we just have 2 games in a row in defense to where we just have an unbelievable day. Do you dwell on it? Yes, you do dwell on it, but you got to go back to practice.
Well, and Coach and I looked at it like this, and I don't know if coaches look at it like this, but as broadcasters, you just try to analyze it.
Right.
You look back at the game, and you could probably remove 6 plays on either side of the ball, and it's a different game.
Yeah, no, you're right about that.
Maybe even less than 6.
Right. And sometimes the yards can be misleading a little bit as well. You say, well, you're first or second in the league in total offense. I think we're second right now behind Eastern Kentucky. Well, a little bit of that is because when you turn the ball over, you're getting it back. They're scoring real fast, and we're getting it back, and we're having to get more yards.
Right.
So you'd rather be right there at 400 yards with no turnovers and 31 points. That would be the goal. Mm-hmm. And so we'll get there. We'll get there. It's been frustrating. Schedule's been tough. We understand that. I don't know if we've hadn't lost to a team probably that we've been the favorite. Even though we were at home against EKU, I mean, from a national scene or a regional scene, this may be one of those weeks. But Southeast Missouri just beat the number 3 or 4 team in the country.
Right. We'll talk about that.
Might be a pick 'em. Who knows?
One of the things that we're seeing is that the Ohio Valley Conference is pretty strong this year.
It is. No, it is, and that's when you look at your schedule, you say, where is that? Not comparing us to to the SEC. but from a comparable standpoint,
very much so.
where is your where's your homecoming win? Where is that? No, there's 8 games that where you can be beat because we're so comparable from the standpoints of. Jacksonville State, EKU, that they probably got more resources, than anybody else in the conference. But it's it's not so much that they don't have a Superdome to play in.
Right.
It's not like that. So that's why the games are really close and anybody can beat anybody.
And one of the things that helps you, I guess, with that is even with this opening loss in conference play, you're going to expect the champion to at least have 1 loss.
Yeah, they are. And of course, I hadn't seen
maybe
Tennessee.
2.
Yeah, I would think so this year from what I've seen. I would think of 6-2. Of course, I have not seen Tennessee State or Jacksonville State on tape, and I'm sure they'll be the favorites. Of course, they got to play each other, and then make sure they're not upset by anybody else. But I'll get asked this 3 or 4 times this week. What does the first loss do to you in the conference? Well, it's not good. Obviously, it's not good. Obviously, you want to be sitting there 1-0, but at some point you're going to have to play East Kentucky, whether it's the first of the season or last of the season. And last year we beat them, but we lost to the other big 3.
Right.
So guess what? If your math's going to turn around, then you're going to have to find a way to beat one of the big 3 this year, as well as your other 4 or 5 wins that go in the conference. So a lot of football left, but right now we've got some things we got to improve on in order to have a chance to win in the fourth quarter.
Talk about a couple players we haven't spent a lot of time talking about on this show, and 2 receivers, and William Tanner, who does more than just that, and also Rod Wright. Tell me about those 2.
It's very proud of those 2. I mean, first of all, you're talking about Tanner. William Tanner's joined our team this summer. He was a kid from Nashville, from NBA, and he'd walked on to Kentucky and never got an opportunity to play, and had actually set out last year and decided he's want to get back playing football, and he came here, and he's got some skills. I mean, he plays really hard, but this is his 4th college game he's ever played in.
Right.
And Rod Wright's been here 3 years. This is his 4th year, and I think he had maybe 1 reception going into this game, and now he's our leading receiver. And the point I was making to our team yesterday is, we knew there was going to be new names of our players that led us in certain statistical categories, right? Because the older players, the skilled players had graduated out. Mm-hmm. And what we can't do is lose our focus of the identity or being so happy that you're playing because you haven't played before in your career and satisfied, well, hey, Rod Wright, you led us in receiving this week. Great job. Okay, but guess what? There were 16 other plays in the game that you played. How did you play in those other 16 plays? How did you block? How was your route recognition? How did you keep spacing so the other guy could, and he did some good things. But that's what we're dealing with right now. New faces, experiencing things, and sometimes making a few plays, and you're playing 35, 40 plays in a game. There's another 30 plays in a game that, Jeremy Butler was making those 10 catches plus playing well without the ball.
Right.
And we're dealing with some of those.
And that's the things that the normal fan and a lot of times broadcasters don't zone in on, because you have the benefit of watching the tape and then the coach grading each play and the player's responsibilities. And if somebody makes 6 catches and 5 are outstanding, you give them player of the game accolades, but maybe there were 5 other things they did in the game that hurt you as much as the 5 things that helped you.
Right. Did they play with great tempo? Did they cost us the timeout because we changed personnel? All those little things. And I knew it in the back of my mind going into this year. You're hoping that you speed up and learn all those things. We haven't after 4 games, but I'm still.
Which is interesting, because one of the things you said you've learned in all these years is patience.
Yeah. And but I am proud of that receiver group now because they have come a long ways from
statistically.
The spring.
There was not much going into this season. We've talked about that. They were talented but unproven.
No, and very unproven.
And inexperienced.
And coming out of the spring, I didn't know how talented they were, to be quite honest with you. And we all were worried about that. But no, Coach Scotty and that group has worked really hard this summer to where, I guess we're leading the league in passing right now. So when you see that, you say, okay, obviously there's some talent there, okay, but there's such a fine line between, winning and losing that, being able to, the consistent performance is what we're missing right now in all aspects of our football team.
Okay, we'll take a break. We'll talk more with Coach Jason Simpson from Snappy Tomato Pizza. UT Martin set to take on Southeast Missouri Saturday. It's at Graham Stadium. A little later in the evening, this one will kick off at 6 o'clock. We'll look ahead to that in just a bit here on the Skyhawk Sports Network.